Okay, so you are probably one of the more interesting people I think I've ever had on because you're a part of the Facebook group, and I call you Buffy because your name is like Sarah Michelle Gellar, right? So we have Sarah Michelle here, and she actually got her ex back. What's up?
What's
What's
up?
up, Buffy? So how are you doing? How are things and everything? So for those of you who don't know, she got her ex back. She's a part of the Facebook group, and this is the first time we're actually officially meeting. She's like attended a few Facebook lives and everything, and I've obviously answered her questions. But it's really cool to actually meet Buffy in person. Don't slay me or anything, but
No, like I'm actually doing really, really good. I mean, I was actually before all of this, I was actually engaged.
engaged. Were
My
you engaged to
boyfriend,
this particular guy?
yeah, we were engaged. He broke it off. Um,
Of
but
course.
yeah,
Left
he broke it
left at
off.
the altar. No, 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 for real. Someone in the Facebook group yesterday was literally left at the altar. She came and said like the guy's mom like
I read
she
that.
she had the dress on the guy's mom. That's
Oh my
crazy.
god.
Yeah.
Well, I was supposed to be getting married actually in 6 months, so I had already started buying
Oh
things. Like
man.
we bought a house together, bought
Well, you
vehicles.
are for a young person, you are moving quick, girl.
Yeah, I actually bought my first house at 20 all by myself. And luckily, his
Props.
name wasn't on it.
Yeah.
It was just me. But we bought a dog together and literally went the whole 9 yards. We've been
Mhm.
together for 2.5 years, and all of a sudden, like we just moved into this house like 3 months ago, and he's like, "I'm not happy. I'm leaving."
Mm. So
Like,
like
and
out
it's
of
just
nowhere there's no signs whatsoever at all.
and I
That
didn't
sucks.
understand it. Like he went to the gym at 8 o'clock at night and then came back home at 1 in the morning, and I'm calling, "Where the hell are you?" Like, it was just the weirdest thing. It was just so out of nowhere. And like, I see all these girls on like the Facebook Live, like their ex tell them, like, "I don't love you anymore.
Mhm.
You're just like you're too much. Like, we're never gonna be together again." I heard all those things,
Right,
all
right,
of them.
right.
Not gonna lie, I heard every single one of those things come out of his mouth. And when it came down to it, I found out he didn't mean any of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
None of it. And I think that's the hardest thing to comprehend when you're going through it is because I see a lot of the girls like on the Facebook page, all of them, all the guys say that. And like when you hear it, like you just don't understand at all.
And the crazy thing is I try to explain to people, it's like, well, he's in a moment where maybe he's feeling that at that particular moment, but in the grand scheme, he doesn't really mean it, and it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. So
Yep.
well, it's obviously you can have hindsight because you got him back, right? So you can kind
Yeah.
of obviously look back and see that, but for someone really struggling, they'll have a hard time swallowing that pill.
Yeah. It's when you first hear it, you're devastated. You are absolutely
Yeah.
devastated because you're like, are you kidding me? Like, that's like so deceiving from everything you've been telling me,
Yeah.
everything you've said. But I honestly believe it's like emotions that are running high. Like,
Hmm.
because when like you're in the moment, you say things you don't mean, and I think it's really hard for us as girls to really understand that.
Yeah. So take me through the timeline. How did you find ex-boyfriend recovery? Sort of go through your journey through. I'm assuming you searched on Google or something. That seems what
Yeah.
everyone does. I need
Well,
to diversify my traffic a little bit more. I need to start like paying for ads and billboards or something because getting a little too reliant on Google traffic.
well, see, when I was first looking it up, because I was just like, I was honestly looking for the "how do you get your ex back" kind of lingo,
Hmm.
and I started typing in like random different things. I Nothing came up. Nothing like I saw there was an article that was like how to get your ex back for sure and blah blah. Started reading it. It was honestly like the same exact thing you did, but like it had weird like it was just the weirdest setup on how to do things, and I like
Well, yeah, so one of the things that people don't necessarily realize, but I realize because I'm sort of in the business, is a lot of these webmasters who really don't care about people, they'll hire someone from India to write the article for them. And so you'll read, and Google's not smart enough to pick it up. I think if you like go to Google right now and type in "how do you get your ex-boyfriend back," you'll find like one of the featured snippets in Google is someone who has broken English, who's like trying to teach someone to get their ex back. So it's like not necessarily the best information out there.
Yeah, no, it's like, because honestly, like, Googling shit was my last resort. It was
Right. Yeah.
All my friends were like, just leave it alone. Like, it's done. It's over. Get over it. Like, even my family, they're like, just move on. You're going to be okay. And it's like, that's the hardest thing to accept because nobody's actually going through what you are at that point.
Yeah, you're totally isolated. So you have this want and need to get your ex back. And, you know, I talk about this on the website. Your friends and family, they can be an incredible support system, but at the same time, it's not necessarily like they're on your side 100% of the time.
No, because their thinking process is, you know what, like, especially for, like, me, because I'm young, it's like, oh, you're young, you gotta move on.
More fish in the sea, that kind of spiel.
Yeah, exactly, and it gets really old because I think that if we have the mentality that, like, if it's meant to be, it will be, that kind of helps you get through it.
Yeah. So I'm also curious. So you said Google was like your last resort. Did you also like go to YouTube, go to Yahoo to like try to find anything you could on it?
To be honest, my main source was Google. It was Google.
Yeah.
I actually came across your website and then like I started looking through it and like you had a podcast that was going out.
So you listened to the podcast.
I listened to the podcast and that's how I was like, okay, well I'll give it a shot. And so I was actually at work listening to the podcast.
That podcast, you know, it's I mean, it ranks in iTunes. It's not like the top iTunes broadcast thing, but you'd be shocked at how many customers I actually get through that podcast. And I'm even shocked because I feel like it's a lot of effort. I have to continually interview people. Before, when I first started it, I would just like answer people's random voicemail questions. I don't know if you had like tuned in to some of those episodes or if you tuned into the like more recent interviews or to interview some of the experts out there.
I think the one that I listened to was I don't remember which one, to be honest, I really don't remember which one it was, but it was like the one where you were like promoting it and like the one where it was just when I think you were just starting your Facebook page, I think.
Okay.
You only had like 80 members in it.
So it was early on. Now the Facebook group grows every single day, which is kind of cool. If I had started this 5 years ago, it'd probably be over like 100,000 people by now. But I can't even imagine what it would like. It's like I think last I checked it was 213, and like last week it was like 190 or 150 or something. It just grows like constantly.
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly it's grown.
Yeah, and I just really just started it like a month ago. You know, so not even that.
I was like the 75th member.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really cool to see it growing.
Yeah, that's been one of the best things. It's absolutely my favorite thing to do because I love jumping on the Facebook Lives. I love I feel like people will get their money's worth when they buy the product and stuff and then go into the Facebook group and they get sort of like a group of women to help support them through things. I'm there. My wife is there. You know, I jump on Facebook Live.
Perfect. It is absolutely perfect. Like, and I think that's what separates you from the other programs is because you have that actual support that's there.
Yeah. So let me ask you, did you end up taking the quiz on the website?
I did, and I couldn't figure out how to like get it. I never got like an email for it or anything.
Really? Well, yeah. It's it's funny. I'm actually gonna hire a designer to completely redesign the website. It's gonna be expensive, of course, but it's gonna look like this guy worked for Apple. You know, he's like one of the top people. So we're trying to streamline the quiz to make it better because so many people like that quiz, but we have had some issues with it. But I find most of the people take the quiz and then they'll jump on the webinar and then, they'll buy the product, get into the group and sort of, I don't know if that's sort of the trajectory you took.
Yeah, well, because I took the quiz and then I got an email about the webinar that you were doing.
Right.
And then I joined it and I was like, okay, well... And then it was like promoting your product. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and that was when I think you first were launching your Facebook too.
So literally just had started out. Right when I started doing those webinars is right when the the Facebook group was sort of coming to fruition. And I think when we started, we had like beta tested it with like 15 to 20 members, right? And so we didn't have like a ton of people, but I had done it maybe like 3 or 4 months before, where we just had 15 or 20 members in this Facebook group, and they stayed active, right? You've probably seen Mirka, right?
Yes,
She's one of the very original people like that was in this beta test, where we were just like literally trying to test out and see if people would like it. And so we just, asked people like, would you like us to continue the Facebook group? And, obviously overwhelming yes, but now it's really starting to take off now that we've kind of incorporated it into the product. So it is a little bit exclusive, meaning you can only get to it if you buy Ex-Boyfriend Recovery Pro, but I think it's probably that's probably worth like the money alone,
Yeah, definitely. Like, I couldn't agree more. It's literally the best thing, because you get live support, you get help from other women who are going through the same thing.
Right.
And you get like live Facebook, because you do live all the time.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, that itself, like, you could do that, and I think you would be fine.
Yeah. It's interesting how it all sort of comes to fruition. Sometimes I just have a spur of the moment, like hour in the schedule, and I'm like, I'll just do one of those Facebook Lives. So it's like sporadically all throughout the day, but usually it's like 3 or 4 times a week. And then, I would always see you jump on, right? And so I'd always call you Buffy, right? Because it was like Sarah. I was for some reason watching Buffy at the time, and I saw Sarah Michelle, and I was like, oh, Sarah Michelle Gellar, right? And so I would like just like jump back and forth.
No, that's great.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your ex. So like, what did you do to get him back? It's like, what resources did you like really lean on?
I'm not gonna lie, like, it was really hard, like, the no contact rule. That is the hardest thing I ever had to do. For about a month, I did on and off no contact. Like, I mean, because, like, he would randomly just show up at my house. It was the weirdest thing.
So
like,
real difficult to, like, stick to it if he's, like, showing up at your doorstep, right?
Well, it was hard, and so, like, he would just randomly just show up at my house if I didn't answer him. That was the thing. If I didn't answer him, he'd show up at my house. My biggest leeway was that his best friend was actually talking to me, and his best friend was like...
Oh, we always had like a thing for you or something?
No, to be honest, I actually dated his best friend before him.
Okay, so he's got a little bit of the jealousy. He's probably thinking, oh God, they're sleeping together or something like that.
Well, and that was one of his biggest fears, because he knew that... But see, his best friend was just helping me. Like, his best friend talked to me and stuff like that.
He was helping you. Yeah, I get it. No, I'm just kidding.
He was really good about, like, talking to me about what was going on with him. So that was how I kind of knew what he was doing. And so when because we broke up a little over a month ago. When we first broke up, I had to have friends stay with me because I just couldn't handle it. And then, I don't know, the biggest thing that helped was, honestly, the no contact rule. It really was the best thing that I could have done. And just the kind of getting yourself together, like, doing new things, like, showing yourself off is a big thing.
So how did you do that, though?
Your wife accidentally posted something on something I had posted about, like, how to dress, and, like, she had, like, these videos. She accidentally posted it on mine, but I ended up going and looking at them anyway. And I actually learned how to put extensions in that way.
Really? From my web? That was like, God, I could tell you the story about that particular. We were, like, in her parents' house, and it was, like, the most, like, everything was, like, crunched together. We had, like, no space, and we both were like, this isn't going to turn out good. No one's going to like this. So we posted it to the website. No one commented on it. Like, hardly any people viewed it. So I'm actually really shocked that helped you out because we kind of were like giving up on it.
It literally caught his attention because
really?
Your wife is the reason that I learned how to do it.
So we'll give her the credit for you for your success. I won't take the credit this time.
I went out, bought new clothes. I actually dyed my hair, put in extensions, and, like, he noticed me right off the bat because I was posting pictures. And that's when
so you're doing it on, like, Facebook or social media or things like that?
Instagram, Snapchat. Like, I was posting this stuff all the time, and he was noticing it. And it wasn't until I started hanging out with other guys and like actually attempting to date other people that I got a reaction from.
So what was that like? What was the reaction you got out of him when you started doing those things?
That was when he started calling me constantly. That was when he was FaceTiming me. That was that was when like my phone was constantly getting blown up.
So like was this was all happening during the no contact period? Well, your attempt, it's kind of hard when he shows up at your doorstep and everything.
Yeah.
So how long did you make it, like, really, before he sort of cracked down and just came back and said, "Can I get you back?"
Well, I did a no. Okay, so my little spurts of no contact. The first one was for about 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, like they were all like 6-day increments. But the last time,
so it wouldn't be him. It wouldn't be you that would break it. It would be like him doing something, like showing up at your door. Yeah. So technically, there's like nothing you can do to control that, because it's not like you can just say, F off, just get it. So
yeah. No, he would just randomly show up at my house because I wasn't answering him.
Well, I think those are positive things, though, generally. Obviously, in your case.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't until my final round, it had been about close to 30 days that I hadn't really talked to him when he sent, and it was 4 days of no contact, technically, if you really think about it, because he showed up at my door before then.
Right.
But it was 4 days, because the first day I didn't hear from him at all, like at all.
So day one after the breakup, you don't hear from him whatsoever.
Well, the first week I didn't hear from him at all,
okay.
like at all. And then he came, got his stuff, stuff like that. So I don't know if that's really considered breaking it.
No, that falls within the realm of, that's okay.
Yeah, well, because he came, got his stuff, and then we didn't talk for a good, 6 days after that, and then because he was trying to call me, but I wasn't answering him.
Right.
And so he shows up at my house again. And so and then what happened after that is I did another 6 days, and he shows up at my house again, just because I'm not.
He's consistent. You got to give him that. Every 6 days, he's going to show up at your house.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then, it was another right after that. I think this was the last time, the 4 days where he first of all didn't talk to me, and then on the second day he called me 6 times. Literally called me 6 times, and I didn't answer. And left me voicemails. Pick up your phone. And so I didn't talk to him. Third day, he called me 6 times. And then he called me. He FaceTimed me twice. Snapchatted me. He had his friends calling me because I wouldn't answer.
So no contact is definitely working on this guy.
Yes, and I never thought it would. I really never thought, because he had actually told me we're never getting back together.
Okay. So he prefaced it with probably, I never loved you before, we're never going to get back together, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And
I got the I haven't loved you for 2 months deal.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that you've seen it around the Facebook group, I'm sure.
Yeah, and so basically on the 4th day, I didn't talk to him, and then I got this random text, he texted me, "Hey," I didn't answer. He texted me again, "It's important, I need to talk to you." And then he texted me, that was when because I screenshotted what he'd said to me.
Right.
And that's when he was asking for me back.
Right. So how did the conversation go? Did you do this over text, or was this over the phone?
He texted me about it, and I told him, let's talk about it in person.
Okay. And so how did it go in person?
In person, we actually sat down, we laid out all of our problems, and I told him, I was like, look, I can't do whatever it is you're doing if you're uncertain about us getting married. Obviously the wedding's off because I'm just not going to deal with it, because we have no idea where this is going now, because you broke off an engagement, you basically broke life together. And so
he's basically got to rebuild some trust with you before you're willing to sort of make that kind of commitment with him again. Yeah,
exactly. And we decided we're going to take things slow. I told him, let's do a completely clean slate.
Okay.
Because I felt like that was the best thing for us, because we, like every couple, we've had our ups and downs, and I just think the best thing for anybody who's getting back into a relationship is to start over. Because if you're not starting over, all that stuff is going to come right back up and you're going to be right back at square one.
True, true. So how is that working out for you so far? So how long have you guys been back together exactly? Do you know? Is it like a month?
We've been back together for about a week now.
A week. So how's it going so far? You're like kind of in the initial stages, and I've seen the pendulum swing both ways. Sometimes it works out, brilliantly. Sometimes it's another breakup, quickly after.
Now we're actually doing really good right now, like, because my biggest thing is that I'm not a very mellow person. I'm very high strung, and so I actually go to a therapist to kind of help me, like, with my own problems, and he's working on his. So we're doing really, really well, actually. Like, because I mean, I hate to say it, but I think the breakup was the best thing for us.
That's not a bad thing. Sometimes maybe it was a good thing to slow down if he was unsure about like the marriage, because that can get messy, especially you either have to annul it or get divorced or something.
Well, and I hate to say it, but I really, like, no matter how much it hurt, maybe it was for the best to kind of realize what was going on, like what we needed to fix, because like obviously there was some sort of communication problems that we couldn't figure out, and I hate to say it, but I think maybe it was the best thing for us.
So you're pretty happy now, though, like with
yeah.
where you're at and your relationship with him.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy. Like, I mean, it's not all flowers and roses.
Never is, but
it's not. I mean, right now, what it is it's work. I mean, because it's not easy. Like, that's one thing I've really learned from this is that relationships are not easy, and you have to give and you have to take, and it has to be equal.
Yep, there's some compromises both people have to sort of make throughout the relationship for it to work, I think. Seems like you are really easy to get along with. Like, you're just, looking back, you're so calm about things. Though I guess you're sort of, you won, you got them back. Whereas most of the women who are in the Facebook group are, they're really struggling from day to day.
And that's another reason why I like to kind of hop on there, because when I see something that's kind of similar, or if there's any way that I can help kind of give somebody some inspiration or some hope, I want to, like, and I think women really need to see that there is hope no matter what they're saying to you or whatever's going on. There's always still hope, because let's face it, guys want what they can't have.
It's very true. Very true. So let me ask you sort of when let's go back to kind of your struggles. When you're really struggling through this breakup, talk a little bit about how the Facebook group helped you specifically. Was it sort of that constant thing where you're carrying around your phone all day and just checking it to get your questions answered, or just kind of like in the shadows trying to figure out from other people's situations? How would you use it?
I think I kind of did both, because I wasn't constantly posting, but I wasn't always like, like I would look at to see who has like a sort of similar situation, because I want to see how theirs is going, because there was times where I felt like there was like no hope. Like, I didn't think anything was going to work. I thought that he wasn't going to come back. I really I had those moments of complete weakness, and I felt like I was failing. And so that was when I would look at what other girls are going through and see what they're doing. And then if I really just couldn't figure it out, I would post something and just kind of see what people are saying, and like see if I could, because I got a lot of support when I would post something. There was so much support. It helped a lot to be able to talk to them. Yeah,
and that's why I love the Facebook group so much. It takes some of the pressure off of me, because I can't be everywhere at once. I'm one person, right? And there's like so many people out there who have breakups that are asking for help and everything. But if you have a group of women sort of coming to the rescue, it helps, I think, everyone. It's just sort of like a group therapy type aspect to it.
Exactly. And I think that was literally the best thing. Like, you can't ask for any more support there. I mean, because between your wife, because your wife helped me a lot.
Yeah, she's more active than I am. Like, she hasn't done any Facebook Lives yet. I've been trying to get her to do one. She's always complaining about how she doesn't have time and how she has to get ready, and so I'm stuck doing the Facebook Lives, which I'm happy to.
Those are great. Like those are really great because I mean, at least like you have. It's not technically one-on-one, but at least like if you have a question that was like directly towards you because you're not on a whole lot, like there's that help right there and that support.
Yeah, and like going back to my wife, she is the one who literally will go through and make sure everyone's answered. And believe it or not, her advice is actually really excellent. She's really good at the texting advice and practical advice. But she, I guess she knows how to manipulate men, which I guess is kind of bad for me.
No, she's great. She is awesome.
So now, here's the other interesting thing I've noticed. Some people who buy Ex-Boyfriend Recovery Pro, they're scared to join the group because they're afraid that their ex is going to see it. Right?
Oh, I don't have that fear because, I'm not going to lie. At first, I was like, oh, are people going to see
Right.
me?
Well, it's a private, closed group, so no one can see it. Right? So no one can see any of your posts or anything like that.
And you feel more at ease, like, because when you start posting things, like, you think, oh, are my friends going to text me? Is somebody going to see what I'm doing? No, but I have not had anybody even see anything I'm doing on there. Like, it's just whatever I put on there stays in that group.
Yeah, and so one of the big things, too, we're sort of trying not to judge, so... One of the issues I think a lot of people have is their friends and family. They're just not on their side, and they'll judge, and they'll come in this preconceived notions. Now, I'm not going to lie. There are some situations where I don't think a person should try to get back with their ex, but generally speaking, we just try to work towards helping people get back with their exes, which is why I'm so glad that Buffy the Vampire Slayer got her ex back.
Well, thank you.
So, give me kind of your thoughts on, I guess, Ex-Boyfriend Recovery Pro. I don't know if you had a chance to like read through the book at all. You did?
I did.
What did you think? Because God, that took forever to write. It was long. You got the longer version, I'm sure, but yeah.
Well, to be honest, like what I did was I took it piece by piece because like if you read it all at one time, you're gonna have no idea what to do. So
that's true. It's a lot of information at once.
Yeah. So what I did was I took it section by section, and so like I was in the no contact phase. I read everything about the no contact first to make sure I don't.
Oh, that's clever. So as you're basically doing that, so like as you're in the middle of the no contact rule, you're just reading the no contact sort of. So you just become the master of that portion, and then as you moved up to texting, you would have read that. Luckily, you didn't have to go all the way to the end.
That far, but I did what I could, and then I was like, okay, I'm doing no contact. It's going well, and so maybe because I was about ready to get to that point, so I read that texting part because I was like, okay, well, I'm getting there, so I should probably for it. So I took it section by section to make sure I followed each step correctly.
And luckily it worked out for you.
Yeah. Well, I on my downtime, I would read like The Ungettable Girl. I would read like How to Avoid Fights. Like in my downtime, I would just read those because like that was my biggest thing is when I saw him in person, I just wanted to yell at him.
So, did you by any chance like check out the audio version at all and listen to any of it?
I haven't.
Some people love it. Some people, don't really use it a lot.
I didn't use the audio version only because I couldn't find it.
Oh, really? So, was it like? Did you have the membership access to the area?
Yeah, I did, but like I couldn't see anything on the membership access.
Well, yeah, that's one thing that we're actually in the process of updating. So, like I said, it could have been, you like joined really early on when we were doing the Facebook group and everything. But honestly, the Facebook group seems to be what constantly everyone who's, I talk to is sort of like, that's the best asset. That's
hands down, that is the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you pair up like the book, like if you pair that up along with the Facebook group, that itself is like bulletproof in itself.
Yeah, I mean the idea is to get everything to kind of work synergistically. So you sort of get the the overall strategy with the book and sort of, okay, this is your go-to what to do. And then anytime you're sort of needing the personal help, you just come to the group and you get the help you need.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And the crazy thing is, I don't think it would have worked without Facebook because, for some reason, Facebook is so trusted and people are logging in constantly every single day. If this was just like a forum behind like some sort of password protected thing, I just don't think it would be as active as it is because so many people go onto Facebook.
Well, and I think I would have had a much harder time had there not been Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have been, I would have probably, like, broke down multiple times and texted him and failed, like, multiple times. Like, I would have been even worse than I already was. But,
yeah, the interesting thing, too, is I've noticed that the success rate of the people who buy Pro has gone up ever since we started using the Facebook group. And my wife and I, we think it's because so many people, they fail during that no contact period, but when they're on the Facebook group, they almost have people to hold them accountable. So they actually stick through it and they get better results.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, if you, like, are fighting yourself to, like, text him or whatever, you can just go there and vent because, I mean, your friends don't want to hear it anymore. Not gonna lie, my friends didn't want to hear it anymore. Like, you can just go there and vent because every single girl there knows what you're going through.
Yeah, and some of the girls get really like into the situation. I don't know if you paid attention to Too New and the baby. Mm-hmm. So did you saw that situation?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like it broke my heart some of the things that this guy was doing to her. But like I guess that's what I'm kind of getting at there. Like some situations become sort of widely known, so you get like that. Too New, she had like so many people jumping in to help her. There was one girl who had like went to help her with the lawyer and all this like crazy stuff. So
yeah, no, it's perfect because like you get all this support from other women and it's a very comfortable place to talk, to put your feelings out there without being judged.
And, the funny thing is a lot of the people who are like kind of on the fence about it, they buy Pro and then they like request to join the group and then I add them. Their first question is typically, can my friends see this or everything? And then Mirka or me or someone was coming in. It's like, no, they can't see it. But there is that fear, right? But eventually they come around and it becomes that safe space that you're sort of mentioning there. But it's weird that they have like this skeptical view of it. Like it is a private group. It's meant to be sort of in its own corner where no one can sort of see anything you're posting.
And I think that also comes with insecurity because you're not sure because you don't want him to see that you're doing that because then he's gonna be like, well, why are you acting crazy or something?
Yeah, it's the craziest thing. I always complain that, we have so many people coming to our website, but like no one shares the website on the web because of the niche. Like no woman wants to admit that she wants to get her ex back in public, right? Yeah. So it doesn't share well. And one of the perfect stories to illustrate this is I remember right when I first started the website, I first wrote the book. It wasn't very big. And so I was like trying to get as many sales as I possibly could to just basically pay the rent and do all this stuff. And I remember there was a girl on Facebook who reached out to me. She said, Chris, I'm really interested in buying your book. And I was like, yes, okay. So I write her back and everything. And then she had done it on her wall and her ex had found it. And he was like, what is this about? And so right there, I lost the sale because she closed up. So, but it made me think, well, we need something that's private so where no one can see it. And that's sort of how the Facebook group came to be eventually, but it came to be like 4 years later. But yeah, that's one of the funny stories I've gotten before.
Wow, that's rough.
But some people are just not technical, with Facebook, so they don't like know if they're. She must have been thinking on her phone that she was like private messaging me, but it was like public on her wall, and so everyone saw it. So you do have to kind of be careful before you're posting stuff,
Yeah, don't make that mistake of actually posting it on your actual Facebook.
Yeah. Well, do you have any kind of words of wisdom to leave the fine people listening to this podcast who are trying to get their exes back? Any kind of advice?
You know, to be honest, my advice to all the girls out there is, you know, when they say these things like I don't love you, or they say to you that it's not ever going to work, like, don't believe it. Like, it's all just an act, because it's just emotions running high. And, you know, the best thing to do is when you're in this no contact period is to work on yourself, because when you're working on yourself, they're going to see it. They're going to see it, and they're going to like every bit of it. Like, not going to lie, you know, because they're going to see it. There's no doubt about that. How can they not? If they're in a relationship with you prior to this, they're obviously checking up on you. Like, and there's no such thing as no hope. There's always hope. You know,
Yeah.
I want everyone out there to know that even in the most difficult situations, there's always going to be hope, and don't ever lose that hope. Because I've been looking at Facebook page a lot lately, and like everybody kind of seems really down, and like everybody seems like they're losing that hope, because, you know, I think the hardest thing is that nobody's seeing success stories on there, so it's like,
Well, we're going to start posting them, I think, directly, like this one. There was another one I did yesterday. I think those kind of success stories can be...
It's a motivation.
Yeah, it's something to strive towards. You know, like I said, we're still trying to work out how the group is structured and everything. But,
Yeah.
you know, the reason I wanted to have you on was so people could see what's possible if you do things the right way, which you certainly did, Sarah. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Take care.
No,